Hey there, Soul Shines, it's Michelle here, and really cool news. I started recording this video at 1:11. So, today has been another adventure in the panic and stress feelings of the world, especially of the state that I live in. So I live in Utah, and this morning I was woken up just after 7 by feeling the earthquake. I'm far enough away from the earthquake epicenter that I barely felt it, but it was pretty obvious it was an earthquake, and so I was like, okay. So Utah, this was a big one for Utah. Utah doesn't usually get into the fives, and this was 5.7. We usually, every once in a while, though, we get ones that are 5.5 to 6 and that kind of thing. So we're not immune to them. We just usually only have small ones, so it's not a big deal. But it brings up a lot of fears and concerns. And for me, it brought up fear as well. And so it's like, what do we do when we have fear that shows up? How do we get out of that? And how do we shift out of that? For me, some of the important aspects are acknowledging, what am I afraid of? What am I really afraid of? Because, like, it was a small little tremble. What am I afraid of happening? It was obvious that we weren't close enough to the earthquake, so what's the real fears? So last day prophecies, last day scares, that stuff's coming up for people. And for me, that means listing out all of the things that I'm afraid of. Brings up afraid of being cut off from my family. And it stirs this urge in me to be like, okay, nobody go anywhere. And I'm not even at home right now, so it's kind of funny. Nobody go anywhere. Everybody cuddling close together. And when can my oldest son and his little family move in so that I know that they're okay? So that's what it stirs up for me. And I'm sure a lot of things are being stirred up for a lot of people. But I feel like this earthquake was a response to how much fear there has been here in Utah. In our church, we've been taught for years to be prepared for different kinds of things, and I think the people who have prepared out of fear are still scared, and that fear is being stirred big time. The people who didn't prepare are freaking out, and they're like, oh my gosh, they said prepare, we didn't prepare, and now they're panicking and everything. And I know that's not just happening here, but I do know that it's extra strong here, and it's because I've been taught all my life, you gotta have food storage, you gotta have emergency preparedness plans, you have to have all this stuff, and we haven't done it. Or at least not everybody. I haven't done everything, but when I released all the fear and I acknowledge what I'm really afraid of, I'm able to come down and realize I'm not actually that afraid of the things that some of the people are afraid of. I'm afraid of other things. And those fears are always there until we acknowledge them and let them go. I think that all of this fear of the last days and this fear that Utah's going to have this big, huge earthquake may be why this earthquake happened. Because, we manifest everything. We create our realities. And there are so many people in Utah right now vibrating on that fear of, oh my gosh, it's the last days. We've got a plague. And they add it with all of the other things happening around the world, like how there's all the fires in Australia and all these things happening. And so the last day fears are like, oh my gosh, Utah's going to have their big one. And I think, therefore, they manifested the earthquake to come. And that's just my belief. And if you don't believe it, that's cool. So my tips for in this time of fear. My number one tip is make sure you're grounded, connected to the energy of the earth. And if you are afraid of like, oh my gosh, all these earthquake things like around here, go down deeper, go down below it. I always like to go to the core, the center of the earth anywhere, because that's where the solid energy is. That's where the pure energy is. So I go to the center of the earth anyway. So you ground and you connect to the heavens. Those are super powerful. You release everything that's not yours. You pull in your own energy, making sure that it's clean and stuff. And then when you're in that place, you ask yourself what you're afraid of, because you've released everybody else's stuff, so it's just your own. What am I really afraid of? And you may or may not get an answer. It may be pretty deep. I'm going to share an experience that's not about fear. It's about anger. I was angry at God, and since November, when I fell and hurt my knee, I've been extra angry at God, and I'm like, what's going on? Why am I so angry, and how can I get rid of it? And I was using all of my tools and struggling, and I just was not able to clear this stuff. And so I actually had somebody else guide me through a healing, because sometimes we need other people to help us out. And in that process, I went to a time when I was 12 years old, and I had tied a jump rope on a gate, and I was swinging on it, and I was just having a good old time, and the gate broke. Or, I mean, not the gate was fine. The jump rope broke, and I fell and I bruised my tailbone. And then the experiences that I had with the doctor and things afterwards, I trapped so much energy, including anger at God for not watching me or not prompting me not to do it or whatever, all these different feelings, allowing the doctors to hurt me more by making me sit up, even though, like, it was the most painful thing I can think of even now. And I can tell I didn't get all of the energy from it, but I was able to at least now recognize where so much of that energy was, and why falling and having to go to doctors again triggered all of that fear, and it just stirred it up. And so now that I've recognized it and can finish healing this, I don't feel the anger towards God. I just still have I get to deal with the pain part of it, and not so much the anger at God. We took care of that. So this fear is stirring things for people. What is it stirring up for you? And are you willing to let go of it? A lot of things are getting stirred up for people. So I just want you to... Sorry, I just got a message from my mom. A text come in, and I'm like, whoa, check something. Anyway, I just want to let you know that there are ways to get out of that fear. If you need help, you need somebody to walk you through it, there are people like myself that are thrilled to help you walk you through it, help you find out what's really going on underneath, help you change your beliefs so that you are focused on a positive, abundant mindset instead of a negative scarcity mindset. Like, the scarcity mindset has been triggered so bad in the last little while. Like, people are panicking, and there are things that we don't have in our home that we weren't able to get that we use on a regular basis. It's a little, like, frustrating. But at the same time, as my kids are doing online school, I'm like, hey, I have a personal laptop, my mom has a personal laptop, and we have a home family computer. So we have 3 computers to get the 5 kids through school, plus my daughter does most of hers on her phone. So that's abundance, guys. I was prepared as far as that aspect of things go, and I feel so grateful for that. And I know somehow we'll survive without those little things that we use on a regular basis. We'll find a way, and it will be okay. That's positive, focusing on what we have, what we're grateful for, things like that, and not going into the, oh my gosh, we don't have this, panic, ah! So focus on the positive, express gratitude, acknowledge what you're really afraid of. Are you afraid that it is the last days, and why does that make you afraid? Really follow those trails of fear and release them. And even if nothing else, ask Heavenly Father, God, universe, the spirit, whoever helps you heal, your higher self, just ask them to remove the fears as you acknowledge them. Like, oh, I'm afraid of being cut off from my family. Please remove this fear from me. And it can be that simple. So I hope you guys are having an amazing time. I hope you guys are looking for positive things. Let me know what abundant blessings you're having right now in your life. Leave them below, and have a wonderful day. I love you guys. Remember to let your light shine big, bright, and live and beautiful. Needed more now than ever before. I love you guys. Bye-bye. See you next time.